Coming to you from sunny Orlando, Florida, welcome to the Paperstac podcast, where we cover current topics in the note industry, give you tactics for your note business, and talk with industry leaders to make you a better note investor. And now, your hosts, Brett Berkey and Rick Allen.
Welcome back to another episode of the Paperstac podcast, Snackable edition. This is our first one back of the new year. Happy New Year.
That's right. Happy New Year.
That doesn't make this timeless, but whatever.
That's true.
Hey, we are here, alive and well. Omicron running around rampant.
Yeah. I'd ask what you did for New Year's, but
we hung out on New Year's.
Yep.
You know, I won't tell them about the solar panel charger.
It was charged.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be charged.
Yeah. Anyways, no, I will. Because now they want to know.
Yeah.
So we're sitting on I have a pickup truck where I went over to his house at probably, I don't know.
It was late.
It was after the ball had dropped.
Yeah.
Our significant others had gone to sleep and we were just hanging out, talking shop. And, it's dark out, sitting on the bed of my tailgate, or on the tailgate.
Yeah.
And I go, Brett, man, I need a charger. Do you have a charger? And he brings out a solar panel charger. And mind you, it's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And so it didn't.
I thought I had charge still, so it didn't have any.
Yeah. It not only did it not have charge, it had zero charge. It was like a paperweight.
I couldn't find the other one. It's in my backpack. That's why I couldn't find it.
We got it. So, anyways, we're back. What do you have for us today?
We're trying to talk about different subjects on Paperstac, and something that we don't see, which we had a conversation that seems to be an advantage if people put them in this way, is pools. And why, as a note seller, even as a note buyer, why a lot of times it's better to do it as a pool instead of doing it as a single one-offs.
Let's start with the number one reason, or be considered the number one reason, is it's cheaper. I don't know if you know this, Paperstac has recently adjusted our pricing.
Oh, that's true.
To where now it's tiered pricing. So the first $100,000 is our traditional pricing, 1% from the buyer, 1% from the seller. But as you start moving up in volume, it starts getting tiered. So if you do a $200,000 transaction, the first $100,000 of it's billed at 1%, and then the next $100,000's at 0.75%.
Something like that.
And it's just a tiered thing. So what will happen is, when you hit the $5 million range and you start running $5 million pools through there, it's only a third of a point, which is like unrealistic. It's just unbelievably cheap. There's a lot of other trading platforms out there that have base levels of 3%. There's one that I know of, they have a 5%. 5% rip that they're putting on there for buyers.
That's a lot.
That's insane. And interesting to think about the sellers like, well, it doesn't affect me because I don't pay it. I trade for free. That's not true. It does affect the sellers, because what happens is buyers know that they're going to pay 5%.
So they're putting it into their bid.
And so they calculate that into their bid. And if somebody's paying 5%, then it's like, hey, man, there's probably 5% less on their bid that you're going to be netting. So you start looking at, when you're getting into the $3 million, $5 million portfolios, $10 million portfolios, to have a third of the point on each side in a sixth, or 0.6 points for the whole trade. It's really cheap. It's a really good price. So we've lowered our pricing, but tying that all back in is, if you've got 3 or 4 transactions going on with the same counterparty, as a seller and as a buyer, it starts making sense to start pooling them together to start getting above that $100,000 mark, to hit that $200,000 or $300,000, or however, anything over $100,000, it starts saving you money. Why wouldn't you do it?
Well, not only that, if you are at something where you have 2 transactions at, let's just say $50,000, you're going to use escrow. You should. And so the good thing about it is that Paperstac pays for escrow over $100,000.
Anything over $100,000, escrow is free. So you start looking, if you hit $150,000 on a couple of these things, and you were going to do them separately, well, you've saved yourself $500 aside on escrow, right? And then you start saving yourself a quarter point on
the fee.
On the fee. So
and not only that, you're able to, the other things, when you're signing documents, you can apply the signature. Unlike going to one transaction where you're doing it with the other one, you're applying the signature to these documents, and it's like it's.
So number one is it's cheaper, right? It's easier. Number two is it becomes more efficient to accumulate multiple transactions with the same counterparty into a single thing or into a single transaction. The great thing is you don't have to. You may manage 3 or 4 different buying entities, and you might have 3 or 4 different transactions going on. They're all different buying entities, but you have the same counterparty. You can still put all those into a single transaction and save a different buying entity for each one of the assets.
Yeah, that's something I didn't even know for a long time. Like so the seller's like, well, we got to break this up because this is coming from fund A and this other note's coming from fund B. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I talked to Mike, and Mike's like, no, just add the vesting profile for this one goes to that one, and this one goes to that one. I was like, man, he thought of everything.
Yeah, so you can make it to where it's you can do it, it's very fluid, very flexible. So you've got, it's cheaper, it's more efficient, and then, lastly is it allows you to move more product. It allows you to move bigger chunks. And when you can start taking a lot of little things and you sort of batch them up, it's more efficient, but it allows you to move more product because you're using less energy to do the same thing, right? And so if you start putting out pools on Paperstac, maybe, we're talking right now about if you've got multiple transactions with the same counterparty, so there's single assets, have single listings, you can combine those through our platform. But we're also talking about start out with some pools. Start out listing 5 or 10 assets together and start, so that way you can move bigger chunks of inventory and save money, be more efficient, and get more product flowing. You'll be surprised that you'll find people who are like, yeah, I'll take 5 assets when they would have taken 2. Or 1. And
also, too, as a buyer, if you're dealing with the seller and he's got multiple bids from multiple buyers, and you're willing to take a couple of his notes at one time, you're going to probably win out because he's going to go, look, I can close 3 different transactions, 3 different people. I can close the same 3 notes with this one guy or girl, and it just makes more sense. Hey, I want to just do this one with this person. And that's typical with a pool. Like, how many people? How many instances did the person have the highest bid amount on this, and they will go a lot of times with that person, right? Because they
had the highest bid amount, but also I've taken bids that were lower, but because they were buying more assets, right? So I've had somebody who's got like, look, this I could sell this for $500 or $600 more if I sell it to this person on a one-off, but I've got this guy who's taken 6 assets. I'm going to give it to him, even though it's not as $500 or $600 less. Because it does 2 things. One, I know this guy's going to probably close. He's serious. He's done vetting. He's looked at these things. He's a serious buyer if he's trying to pull the trigger, for the most part, on multiple assets. But also what that does is by not selling it to this person or anybody else that's got bids on there, that money is still left there to start bidding on my other assets that I can put out there.
That's
So
smart. You gotta think about that.
So yeah, it's kind of, it all works together. It works for buyers and for sellers. It's a great thing. So
there's other things too. So if you're looking at the for sale page, there could be 140 assets to 200 to it's been as high as 300, and if they're all single assets and you're the only one that has a pool, you're going to stand out. Even if you are a seller and you have 20 assets. We'll list them all as singles, and then it's as simple as once they're all listed, you just click a button, go make a pool, make the pool, and then just say, you make an offer. It takes like 1 second more to make a pool, and then so you'll stand out. There's way less pools. There's like 5 at a time when there's like 150 or whatever single assets.
Right.
Another really kind of cool but sneaky way, and someone brought this up at a Note Expo or something. They're like, you can do this on your site, right? And we're like, yeah, that's fine. We don't care. Like that. If you're smart enough to do that, do it. Is that someone was buying like 3 or 4 different notes under the $25,000 threshold, where it's just a flat $250. So it's like, well, instead of doing 2 where you're paying $250 on this one and $250 on this one, and if you're doing escrow, $250 on this one, $250 on that one, they bundled them, and then they kept it underneath the $25,000. That way, they only paid one $250.
Right.
Which is smart, if you're working. He thought he was working the system, and I was like, "No, you are, but that's kind of cool. Do it."
We know it. We know that's that's why we're doing these podcasts. That's why we're telling you, look, here's how you can save money. What it does is it gets more inventory flowing, and if it help out the users, it's fine. You know what? That's why we adjusted our pricing to make it to where it's more
pools.
More pools.
That's
more
the goal.
enticing.
That's our 2022 goal. I wouldn't say it, but that's a good goal.
It's our goal. We want to have some more pools going on there because we're moving towards that enterprise transaction, and that's what they're selling. We've got people who bring in assets to us. We've got people who've got, look, I got 16 assets that I'd like to sell in one shot. One person brought us 54 late stage foreclosure NPLs, today in New York. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of, it's a healthy chunk. We're having had banks bring us 8 NPLs that had the minimum balance on there was like $875,000. Max balance was like $4.1 million.
Wow.
So yeah, but they brought us a pool. So that's why it's like, look, we need to make sure we're educating people on the pool side of things. So that's
it.
That's it.
We'll have more educating stuff, but we just this one's kind of about Paperstac and how you guys can use it to better serve yourself and the buyer and seller.
Yes, and it's a nice, easy way to be reintroduced to us. And
yeah, no, it's been like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm kind of off the game.
Yeah, it's been a while, but it's been good. We're back and ready to go. If you have any content you'd like us to cover, please let us know. Subscribe, hit that stuff. That helps out the channel a lot.
Yeah, we're trying to get to 1,000.
We're trying to hit that 1,000. We're getting there. So I think I was looking at like 67% of you watching this are not subscribers, which is insane. Just subscribe. You don't have to even get the notification every time. Don't hit the notification bell if you don't want to, because that means you'll get notified every time we upload something, which is only once or twice a week, but at least subscribe to it. That helps out the channel. So appreciate it. We will catch you on the next one.
See ya.